Extremely different now. Let's bring in our London correspondent, Jonathan Sacerdoti. Jonathan, thanks for being with us. So if we're talking about Europe as a whole, differences over such core issues like immigration, trade, NATO, is the UK in line with Angela Merkel on that?
It's not sure whether that's the case or not. And when we think about how Theresa May's visit looked and how Angela Merkel's visit is looking at the moment, we can see some quite big differences. Theresa May, remember, rushed over to be the first world leader to visit Donald Trump when he became president. Angela Merkel certainly didn't do the same. And Theresa May was keen to point out that they were very close. We even had that image of them holding hands as they walked down the stairs briefly at the White House. I don't think we're going to see that. In fact, earlier on, when they were sitting down in the Oval Office for photographers and the press to see them, Mrs. Merkel and President Trump resisted the calls for them to even shake hands. So the difference there in image is symptomatic, really, of the difference in relationship. Britain has a lot to prove as it's trying to leave the EU and is trying to make strong ties with America, whereas Mrs. Merkel is trying to represent, let's say, the strongest nation in the West other than America, and perhaps inject some morality into the Trump presidency that she feels is lacking.
As we're going into that press conference, waiting for that live, there's another issue in the background. There seems always to be another issue hovering in the background. In this case, Sean Spicer, the press secretary, repeating a claim on Thursday that the UK's intel organization was used by former President Obama to spy on now President Trump. That's caused a lot of anger in the UK. Where does that stand now?
Yes, well, we've had that accusation, and we've had politicians and senior figures in the state speaking out against that wiretapping accusation. So in order to perhaps try to justify it in other ways, we had Sean Spicer reading out something that he said was reported elsewhere in the conservative media, saying that GCHQ, the British spying agency, had been requested to spy on Donald Trump on behalf of Barack Obama so that American fingerprints weren't on it. And quite remarkably, GCHQ has actually issued a statement today saying that recent allegations made by media commentator Judge Andrew Napolitano about GCHQ being asked to conduct wiretapping against then President-elect are nonsense. They're utterly ridiculous and should be ignored. So a very strong statement coming out of GCHQ trying to put an end to that particular line of justification of the accusations.
Jonathan Sacerdoti in London, thanks very much for this. We're here awaiting that press conference out of the White House.